I've had the idea for the Unsealed show for quite a while now. I dabbled in it back in 2017. I did a couple of test episodes, if you will, from Retro Central across the hall, where I opened up a Mary-Kate and Ashley game, for example, that was brand new, and I forget what the other one was. But those were the two official episodes, although I never really thought that I would make it a series until 2018, until January 2018, when I had a pile of PlayStation games that I was able to open. Off-World Interceptor, I think, was one of them. That was a long box game that I had picked up from Video Game Castle in Chicopee, Mass. And 97 episodes later, here we are. This is episode 100 here in the middle of June 2019. It's been a great journey. I've had a lot of fun doing these episodes, even though they're not very highly watched. I'm certainly grateful for the subscribers and the viewers that I have. I never meant for this to be a very popular thing. This is more a lot of fun for me to do, to recall my memories of the past and to be able to get brand new games that are still sealed that no one bought for whatever reason, and be able to open them on my own and try and recapture some of that magic that I felt opening new games for the first time when they were new back in the 80s, 90s, and even 2000s. Opening new games for me has always been a very exciting thing. Going to get new games from Electronics Boutique or Funko Land or a local video game store or whatever, and being able to tear that plastic off, look at the instruction manual for the first time, maybe see if there's some extra goodies like some posters or some promo material, maps maybe. You never know what's going to be in there, especially back in the 8-bit and 16-bit eras. Unfortunately, that's gone away with modern gaming, but I used to love opening brand new games. I still do to a certain extent, although there's not as much excitement, because when you open a new modern game, basically what you're getting is you're getting a disc inside of a case, and the manual is now digital, and there aren't really a lot of extras unless you're purchasing a collector's edition or more. So it's been a lot of fun opening these games on camera. I still do have some back here on my shelf, although the pile is dwindling, which means the show eventually will end. I can't tell you when, and it won't end for good. Basically, you'll see episodes happening fewer and fewer times, and we'll be shifting to something else. But episode 100 is still a very big deal, and I'm glad to have gotten to this point. As someone who's tried several different projects in the past and never really was able to get them off the ground like I wanted, it has been nice to finally get to a nice round number like 100, and I'm certainly proud of that accomplishment, and I'm very, very happy and humbled and honored that some or all of you have accompanied me along the way for this journey, so that's really cool. So, now with that out of the way, the episode 100 thank yous out of the way, let's go ahead and open up some games, shall we? That is the whole reason that we're here. And I have two compilation discs to open for this particular episode, one of which I've been waiting to open for a while, and I'm actually wearing a shirt that has to do with one of them, and you can probably figure that out. But we're not going to get to that one yet. We're going to do one other one first that I just recently got. This here is called the Sega Classics Collection. That's this guy right here. This is a compilation of Sega Ages offerings that was originally, I believe, in Japan that came to the U.S. There are 10 games on here, which is a pretty decent amount of games to have on a compilation disc, especially because these are remade or remastered, I guess, if you will, for the PlayStation 2 era, for the Generation 6 of consoles. So here's a look at the back of the case, the Ultimate Sega Collection Remastered. Relive the thrill of these classic Sega games that changed the world of video gaming. Now with enhanced graphics and sound, you will experience these games like never before. There are some real winners in this collection, like Outrun, which is one of my favorite driving games of all time. The game that taught me how to drive, believe it or not. Space Harrier is pretty good. Virtual Racing is another one that's awesome. I have a lot of fond memories of Virtual Racing in arcades. One particular memory was going to an arcade where you paid a $5 cover charge to get in, and then all of the arcade games were either 5 cents, 10 cents, or free to play, depending on what it was. and there was a 4-player virtual racing machine in there that I played for a dime per play, and I would play that for like an hour trying to finish the track. I never really could do it. I did pretty well on the Sega 32X version, and of course on this version I played even better, and I'm looking forward to the Switch version coming out later on this month. This is June, of course. We're talking about late June. We're getting an M2 emulation and then some of virtual racing for the Switch. Monaco GP is an arcade game that I kind of played a little bit, but not a lot of until I got this. Tantar, I really can't tell you much about that. Golden Axe, unfortunately, is not very good in this particular edition of the game. It's okay, it's serviceable, but it's certainly not going to win any awards. And there are some decisions that were made in the design of the game that are just kind of befuddling. Columns is another one that's timeless. It's a fun puzzle game to play. Fantasy Zone, one of Sega's flagship shooting games. Bonanza Brothers, I don't know a lot about. I haven't played a lot of it. And Alien Syndrome, which is a really good remake of a game that flew under many a radar from Sega back in the 80s. So let's go ahead and open this up. This still is sealed, by the way, and has the label at the top. I like to try and show those before I open this up. Let's see if I can get... Nope, not going to happen. So we have our scissors this time. We're going to go ahead and we're going to open this up. There we go. Do that just like that. Did I not do it right? There we go. I've been looking forward to opening this. I got this from eBay for about $20, which is not bad. This is going to take a while. And, of course, now that I've opened it up, I can't do another take on this video, so this has to be the way it is. Let's go ahead and use the scissors just a little bit longer. Of course, with episode 100, I'm going to run into these issues, right? There we go. Let's try this now. There we go. The reason that I had thought about this was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a GameSack episode not long ago where Joe and Dave, I forget which one, had talked about some of the games on this particular disc. And I do have this, although it is disc only. So it's nice to have this sealed, and now it'll be brand new, so I can go ahead and pop it in my PS2 and mess around with it. There we go. All right. When we open this up, and I'm just going to pop that in the side there. Oh, I love this color scheme. It's got that blue and white color scheme for the Sega Classics Collection disc. Also on the inside, we have the Register Online Sega card, which we've done a few times on the show. And then the instruction manual, of course. The instruction manual, by the way, advertises the Sonic Plus Mega Collection, which is this guy right here. Take a blast to the past with Sonic Mega Collection Plus, now with 13 Sonic games plus additional games and bonus content. The manual, unfortunately, is black and white. Not that I'm very surprised. This is a game from 2004, so it's not a shock at this point. But it does walk you through each of the games, and it shows you the play controls and the instructions for each, so it's nice to have that instead of having to read digital instructions. Information about Fantasy Zone there. Let me see if there's anything... I don't think there's anything unlockable here. Virtual Racing is the last, so it looks like they're going in order. Again, if you have a PlayStation 2 and you don't own this, if you happen to find it on the cheap like I have, pick it up. It's a decent compilation, even though not all the games are winners. If for no other reason, if you're a racing fan, then to play Outrun, Virtual Racing, and Monaco GP. And also Space Harrier and Alien Syndrome are pretty good as well. Definitely worth a look, I think, and is worth a spot in your collection if you have one. All right, so that is the Sega Classics collection. I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Okay, one more game to open up, and I'm wearing the shirt to go with it. I'm wearing a Joust shirt, and this says Midway Classic Arcade. And this here is Midway Arcade Treasures. This is brand new, and this is promotional copy, not for resale, so that's kind of cool. This is basically the PlayStation 2 version of Williams Arcade's Greatest Hits, and then some. There's a ton of games on here, over 20 in fact. The list is here, and I'll read them off in just a moment. Jam-packed arcade action. Also notice they're using the GTA font. Midway Arcade Treasures is jam-packed with over 20 classic arcade games, including all-time favorites Spy Hunter, Defender, Gauntlet, Joust, and more for the first time on home entertainment console systems. Old school arcade favorites include Spy Hunter, Defender, Defender 2, Gauntlet, which is 4 players, Joust, Joust 2, Paperboy, Rampage, Robotron 2084, Smash TV, which unfortunately the PlayStation 2 version of Smash TV is not very good. There's some slowdown going on. The emulation wasn't perfect. Bubbles, Road Blasters, Blaster, Rampart, which is kind of a hidden gem there. Sinistar, I Hunger. Super Sprint, Marble Madness, 720 Degrees, Tubin, Clax, a puzzle game for the 90s in Clax. Splat, Satan's Hollow, which at the time we had not played before. I had not seen the arcade cabinet, so that was a cool play for the first time. Vindicators, which another underrated hidden gem, played really, really well on the NES, if you ask me, and it's nice to have the arcade original here. And also Root Beer Tapper, which is basically the sanitized version of Budweiser Tapper, which used to be in bars back in the 80s. There's also some DVD content. It's one of the cool things about the PlayStation 2 era and the Xbox era is that using DVD-ROM media instead of CD-ROM media meant that you had more storage space for hidden extras, or extras like game histories, developer interviews. Unfortunately, the developer interviews they're really, really badly artifacted, and top secret documents. This spawned 2 sequels, Midway Arcade Treasures 2 and Midway Arcade Treasures 3. 3 was mostly about racing. It had Hydro Thunder, Stun Runner, San Francisco Rush. 2 had Mortal Kombat 2 on it, I believe, and Mortal Kombat 3, I think. APB was on there. Tournament Cyberball was on there. All 3 of these, I think, are really worth owning, especially if you have an Xbox machine. Also, the GameCube they run pretty well on, although Midway Arcade Treasures 3 is kind of iffy. But these are a lot of fun to collect, and even if you have like the Midway collection from the Xbox 360, you're missing some stuff that these have, so I recommend picking those up. And yes, I am wearing my Joust shirt. Joust is not a game I'm very good at. If I could wear a Midway shirt, I'd love to have a Smash TV shirt, but I don't have one. So let's go ahead and open this up on camera here as we wrap up episode 100. And what a way to do it, opening up some of my favorite arcade games from my favorite arcade company, being Midway. Absolutely love Midway. I've loved them for years. It was devastating to me when the company went bankrupt. I'm glad that there's still some holdovers over at Warner Brothers, but it's just not the same. And of course, Eugene Jarvis now heading up Raw Thrills and still doing his best with arcade action, even though a lot of them are a lot of the games are redemption machines or kind of gimmicky big screen machines. A lot of what Eugene and his team does is still fantastic, at least in my eyes. There's the Midway Arcade Treasures seal at the top, by the way. And don't forget, if you're interested in Midway history, the Insert Coin documentary is going to be coming around pretty soon. I know that the guy behind it all, Josh, has been working very, very hard to try and get that wrapped up. So make sure you keep an eye open for that. I should have worn that shirt instead of this one. I should have thought of that. All right, so when we open this up, yeah, wow, even the disc says it. So promotional copy, not for resale. That is neat. I did not know that these existed. I'm wondering where this came from. The UPC symbol or the UPC barcode is not stamped through, so I'm not sure exactly what that's about, but that's okay. When we open up the manual, it is in black and white, and it does go through a list of all of the games. Defender, Defender 2, which we knew as Stargate back in the 80s. Gauntlet is here. Rampage is here. Rampage is one of those games I wish I could get into. I wish I liked as much as a lot of other people do, but it just never resonated with me. Where is it? Paperboy is here. Oh, one of my favorite arcade games from the 80s. What a jerk I am. I love the fact that that had speech. I love the handlebar controller, how it worked, how well it worked, as long as it wasn't, really jammed back and forth because it was analog. If there were some kids that were being really nasty to the machine and got that off center, it was kind of difficult to steer. Marble Madness is here, another game that I wish I was a lot better at. Robotron 2084 is one of those games that I've gotten better at with age, kind of like Galaga and a few others. I could not play this. As a matter of fact, I avoided Robotron 2084 like the plague back in the 80s because it always just sucked up my quarters in 2 minutes flat, and I never really improved at it. So that's another game that's here. Satan's Hollow, if you haven't played that before, I recommend taking a look at it on YouTube to kind of see what it's about. It's a pretty interesting game, and it was certainly rather mature for the 80s, having Satan there on the screen. Sinistar, some of the early speech, and that game was pretty creepy if you're a kid. Splat, which I really don't know a lot about. Spy Hunter is another game I wish I was better at. Tubin is here, and Vindicators, of course, is right here. Midway arcade games, I've been playing those for decades. I'm certainly a fan of their stuff in the 90s. NBA Jam being my favorite arcade game of all time. That's be the one machine. If I could afford any arcade game to have in my house, it would be the 4-player original NBA Jam machine. But even so, Midway's history dates back well before NBA Jam, as you can see on this list of games here. It's been fun opening these games 100 times worth and then some. We've done some bonus episodes as well. And I do have some more to do. I had one more that I wanted to do this time, but unfortunately the hockey playoffs just ended. So I'm going to sit on some of that hockey stuff maybe until a little bit later during the summer when I need to feel cooler, and the thought of ice will probably keep me cool. But I have some other stuff here too. I have a fighting game. I have another Dynasty Warriors-ish kind of game that I'm looking forward to getting to. I do have some more sports games to get to, as well as some other random PlayStation games that I'm looking forward to getting to as well. So this is not the end. We are not done yet, but we are 100 episodes in, and I'm certainly grateful for all of the views, all of the support, and all of the subscribers that I have to date. Take care of yourselves and each other, my friends, and until the next time, see you later.